I love TikTok.
Well, hello, and welcome to my Facebook family. This is Dr. Jewel and Dr. Barbara, and we're saying hello out there to all of you. Welcome and thank you for tuning in today live. And I want to also encourage those of you who want to see it live on YouTube. You can go to YouTube, search for Dr. Barbara Young or Dr. Jewel Diamond Taylor, and you can access us live on YouTube as well as Facebook. I am so excited. Jewel, you're excited as I am. This is the inaugural show.
I've been waiting.
Woman Talk. And let me tell you, for all of you out there who are tuning in, and I want to thank all of you, is that this show is incredulous. And I have to say, it was orchestrated by a higher power. And Dr. Jewel was absolutely the chosen one to be the co-host for this show. Woman Talk is about creating a safe place for women to be able to share their hearts, to their setbacks, their obstacles, whatever they're going through and challenges, to find healing. This is about healing, to help you to enrich your faith, to uncover the mask and discover the courage that you have and personal power so that you can grow beyond past circumstances and wounds. And so we're going to each week share some very special messages, Dr. Jewel and I, and we're going to share special messages. We're also going to have guests that come from time to time, guest women who are going to share their stories. One of the things that we want to make sure that you're aware of is that if any of you have an important question that you want to share, and I want to make sure I'm showing this. If you have an important question that you want to discuss on issue, it will be kept confidential. And I want to say this right up front. There are no names that will be mentioned, and we will discuss those issues. You can send it to Dr. Jewel, jewelmotivates@gmail.com, or Dr. Barbara Young, and I'm at info@transformationforsuccess.com. So I wanted to make that clear right at the outset. We encourage you to put it in the chat. And if you find something that is really inspirational, really hits you, put it in the chat. We want to get
in the chat
today. So Dr. Jewel, are you ready? You know, I'm telling you, I have been waiting for this moment, and we've been talking about this for a while, and now all of a sudden October 8th is here, and
it's here.
And so let me share just a little bit about you. You know, you've traveled all over the world and you've been on stages with so many people and you've done so much great work with women. And I remember the first time I heard you speak in Riverside, I was in awe. I was sitting down at this table, you were up on the podium, and I was my God, I had never heard you speak.
That's how I felt when I saw you.
I had heard about you, Jewel Diamond Taylor, and you have this wonderful name. And I'm like, oh my God, she's incredible. And then when God brought us together some years later, since that time, it was just absolutely phenomenal. So Jewel, share a little bit about what you want to say to the women out there about yourself.
Well, I feel like I was born for this. I've been on the road for 35 years. I know I look like I'm 35, but
Yes, you look like
after many jobs that I knew that I was just going through them temporarily, I knew that I was born to be on a podium, behind a microphone, behind a camera, in front of a camera.
Yes.
I knew that my assignment was unapologetically being a vessel and a voice for women. Because the more I healed, Dr. Barbara,
Yes.
and began to walk in the brand of the self-esteem doctor, I realized there were so many women that had silent screams.
Yes.
There were so many women wearing masks, and I was wearing them too. And I authored a book several years ago called The 12 Faces of Eve. And what I did was help women to take off the fake off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not the makeup, but the fake off. And really have, and you said the word courage, to have the courage to stand in your mess, to stand in your magic, to stand in your glory, to stand in your gifts and your talents, to stand in your faith, to stand in your truth, to stand in your purpose. Dr. Barbara, I didn't have mothers and aunties and grandmothers that talk like that. They didn't have the tools and the media and the disposable time and the technology that you and I have. So I want to break strongholds. And I believe that is what God has ordained me to do, is to help women to break strongholds.
And you know, it's really interesting because we can't do those until we have first helped ourselves.
Exactly.
The walk was an arduous journey. And
it's ongoing.
And it still is.
Yeah.
I was frankly called into the service of God at 36. Actually, he called me. Mm-hmm. And we had a almost 5-hour conversation. I remember arguing. I actually argued with God. I mean, he's trying to tell me, I want you to do this. No, you know, I got to give up smoking. I got to give up fornication. You know, I mean, I was being honest. And so for many of the women out there, it is about really emptying out and really being honest. And I was just being honest, and I was talking to God. And I was like, he said, no, you don't. You don't have to give up. I said, I'm going to be giving up. He said, no, you'll be gaining. You'll be gaining. Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad. I mean, he argued. Can you imagine me arguing with God? No. And because we know who won. And so at 36, I embarked on a journey. And the journey for me has been not without the challenges, but I had the courage, I had the conviction of knowing that I had a father who loved me and I was his beloved. And so for the women out there, my joy is to be able to share with them some of the experiences that both of us have gone through in terms of setbacks and trials, and even the death of a child. Both of us have experienced the loss of a child, and how that impacts you, and maybe 2 divorces in my life. And so it has been on my heart to always be cognizant of women, and women of all races, of all denominations, no matter. And this is not about religion. No. This is about relationship and getting it together, getting your personal power together. So Jewel, when you started out, you know, there were challenges about just developing self. How did you emerge through, you know, all of the stuff, the traumas and things that you go through? What helped you to actually just emerge as this confident woman that you are today?
Well, I think when you get a glimpse of your destiny, it won't let you go. And I saw a female speaker named Terry Cole Whitaker in the mid-'80s. And I would go every Sunday, drive to San Diego to sit at her feet. And this was a Caucasian woman, but I didn't see her ethnicity. What I saw was her boldness, her brilliance, her ability to articulate a message that released me as well as others to have the courage to say, yes, God. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen after I said, yes, God. But once I said, yes, God, what happens is that little doors start opening, windows start opening, people start showing up in your life, and you get emboldened, and there's no turning back. So I don't give a lot of credit to myself. I do now, in hindsight, realize that it was quite courageous, because there were no Dr. Barbara Youngs at that time. There was no Oprah Winfrey. There was all the women that I met for 12 years traveling with the African American Women on Tour. They weren't in my life when I said yes to God. But because I said yes, I was led on a path where I became connected to powerful women that were teaching, that were healing, they were writing books, they were proud of their culture, they were overcoming obstacles that I did not know that one day I was going to have to do it too. So they were witnessing to me, and they were teaching me, and I didn't know at that time. I was just a wide-eyed, childlike woman, like, oh my God, This is me. That's what I want to be. And I think that once we see who we can be and we say yes to God, things begin to start happening. There's a momentum that begins to happen. And there's no turning back. No turning back.
Well, you know, and it's so true. And right now, and thank you for sharing that, Jewel, because, you know, when I came along too, and I have to say this, you know, because I was thinking the other day when I met a gentleman and he was saying, "How old are you?" You know, and I said, "Well, I'm 82," and he said, "I can't believe your age." And I started thinking that I was born in 1937,
Mm-hmm.
and I graduated from high school at 15. And this is in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and I came to Berkeley to go to college. And the thing that astounded me was that the things that I can now share about when we talk about Black Lives Matter and talk about what it was like, because many people don't share their experiences. When I went to school, I went to a segregated high school.
Okay.
And so at the time, 1954, with the civil rights legislation, it wasn't really enacted until 1955. And so I remember I was always, you know, in a segregated high school, but got the best teachers. But the experiences of growing up in that era and to seeing where we are today gives me such joy that God has allowed me to go through these different passages and moments of success, moments of where there was tragedy and triumphs, because that's what it's about. And so for the women out there, we want you to be able to be free. This is about woman talk.
And we want them to chat. We
want
to
hear
their
from
comments.
you.
We want to be engaged with you. Leave us a chat. Let us know what you're thinking. How many of you say, "Oh my God, she cannot be 80 plus"? Come on, put those hearts up. Come on, isn't that amazing? Look at this awesome diva, this beautiful woman of God who is showing me, as well as so many others, that we can do anything and we should not let age be an inhibitor. Don't let age stop you. Now, on my next birthday in a couple of months, I'll be entering my 7th decade, and I am still as excited and still energized and still passionate and still learning. I'm still learning. I study all the time. I'm reading all the time. I'm praying all the time. And I don't want anyone to say, "Oh, well, you know, I'm done. I'm retired." I say, stay inspired. And looking at you and listening to you and knowing your story, I'm inspired. Retired is not even in my mindset.
Well, one of the things somebody just put up, I hope that we as men can listen to this yes, you can. You can listen to the Woman Talk Show. We don't want to leave out the men because you may learn some things here. So we're inviting men to tune in as well and listen to the show. So thank you for that comment, Mr. Hammond Bowden. We love you. And so we're not excluding the men, but please know every week we will be here, Transformational Thursdays, Woman Talk. I love it. And Jewel and I will share some of our cutting edge messages each week with you that will heart healing for relationship healing.
Yeah.
Essential navigational tools that we have learned that can help you have a better life. I realize that we're going through challenging times now, and many of us, with the pandemic and with all the things that are going on around the world and challenging in terms of confinement, and there's loneliness, and I know that. And you can be lonely even in the midst of a family situation.
Right.
And what about some of the seasoned women? And you know, I began to think about this last night, is that I'm in a church that has about 25,000 members. But on a given Sunday, maybe there's about 2,000, 3,000 people that attend the church. And I started thinking about the ladies, the seasoned women, and some of the younger women. We can't go to church. They can't wear their hats. They can't wear their nice clothes and maybe go after church and have lunch with some of the ladies. Go out and have breakfast because we had 8 o'clock service. So those who were 8 o'clock would, you know, sort of get together and go for, you know, breakfast. What's taking that place? And so I know that there are women who are feeling oppressed, depressed. And God knows if you look at the news, it's like a bit grim. And so, what are you looking at? So, we need laughter in our lives. We need to be able to come together and laugh at some of the things that we've done, some of the silly things. So,
Yeah.
well,
And we
share
also
some of the silly things that we've done, you know.
yeah, and we also want to be able to sit around the table and talk about that historic moment last night with Senator Kamala.
Yes,
We
yes,
need to be able to say, okay, what did you see? What did you hear? What do you feel about that? Do you feel like she's representing us? Do you feel like how is she demonstrating her courage and her intelligence? We need to be able to look at so many things and connect and give our feedback and bounce our ideas. And maybe for some people, help them to change their opinions and to be transformed
yes,
by watching other women that are our leaders who are bold. I
yes,
mean, I was watching the documentary of First Ladies and just again so proud of First Lady Michelle Obama. You
yes.
know, you look at these women and you glean from them and you say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize by watching these female leaders that I could gain another metric of courage and faith and boldness." And I know that so many women have to choose between career and family. They have to know how to deal with the clapback from people that are attacking them. And that comes with leadership. You
Right.
know, the taller the tree, the stronger the wind. And so there are a lot of women that want to have these wonderful conversations. And I'm so glad that this show exists so we can have so many conversations. We have a spectrum of women, all colors, all walks of faith, entrepreneurs, politicians, housewives, students, single parents. And I know that we're going to be able to speak to the spectrum of women so that no one feels left out.
And we don't want anyone to feel left out. We want all of you to participate. Bring your weary, your people
Yeah.
to be set free. Women, this show is for you. And again, I want to reiterate that you can send questions or send topics you'd like us to discuss either to Dr. Jewel Motivates at gmail.com, or Dr. B, info at transformationforsuccess.com. And everything that you send, you don't have to even maybe put a name on it, but if you do, it will be kept confidential. We will not be exposing anyone's personal information, but
Yeah.
we want this to be a show that's realistic, it's honest, and it's true,
And
and
healing. And healing.
and healing, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful to have Jewel as my partner today. I almost said partner in crime, but we're not in crime. But we can inspire women to be the best that you can be, no matter what obstacles, what things you may be going through at this time. There is help on the way.
Yes. You
Here.
know, I'm so glad that you have decided to offer the women an outlet to send us their emails and express what they're going through, because, you know, my shoulders are always wet with tears. Every day, Dr. Barbara, I'm hearing either a phone call or a text or email or in my coaching with women, some stories that are just so tragic and just heart wrenching. But what I'm finding is so many women have this shame. They don't want anybody to know what they're going through. And this is what I want to work against. I want us to start confronting these hard issues that are keeping women from being successful, from having the abundant life, from leaving a legacy for their children, from having that faith in God that what they've been called to do, they can do it. But until we work on these heart issues, until we work on these self-esteem issues and these issues of shame, there are going to be so many women in bondage and just tied down with some tremendous strongholds. So I'm grateful that we're offering them. Please, sisters, email one of us and share with us your story, your question, your concern, and we will address it the best way we know how. No, we don't know everything, but I believe that the two of us together will put our minds together, our stories together, our education together, our experiences, and we will address it. And if we don't have the answer, we're going to help you find
Find the answer. We will research the answer for you.
Yes, yes.
I am so thankful. And Alexandra, we thank you for your comments that you love the show for women like yourself. It's very inspirational. And we want to thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
We are absolutely thrilled to be able to bring this show to you in live living color. I call it live living color. And we will be bringing guests on the show who will share their stories from time to time. Now, if any of you out there would like to be a guest on the show, again, you can email Dr. Jewel or Dr. Barbara, either one of us, because we're a team and we work together. So we want to say that we love you so much, and share with your friends. Let them know this is a show that they can get help. It's, when I think about it, that the power to grow together. And this is powerful when you bring women together and you're able to share. And because I had other women in my life, mentors who helped me, and I was able to go and share freely what was on my heart.
Yes.
And that confidentially, they would give me the best answers they could, but it was kept in confidentiality. But there are a lot of secrets, and I feel this in my spirit, that there are a lot of you women who are carrying burdens, got things that are issues that are still plaguing you. And what has happened during this pandemic is that given the solitude, given that you're not what I call detracted with outward kinds of things, you now have to think. And what happens, you have an enemy that'll try to bring all the past issues, bring all those hurts, and now you're dwelling on them. And those thoughts can overcome you and take you back where you thought you had forgot about what happened with Aunt Bessie or what happened with Uncle Henry. And things are coming back now. This show will help you clear your mind.
Dr. Barbara, what was a life experience that was a turning point for you? I know there probably been many, but tell us one of the experiences that you had that was like a turning point. Like, you were able to pivot, you were able to be resilient, you were able to just press through it.
Well, the pivotal point for me was my 5-hour encounter with God, because I made a pivotal, and I'm on a college campus. In associate director of financial aid. And so it was like in the time that you were not talking about Jesus, you weren't talking about praise the Lord. And the pivotal moment was for me to be open with my confession that I had found Jesus in my life. That was a turning point for me, because it took courage to do that on a college campus, as well known as I was. I'd been on that campus for a number of years. And not only that, but in 2 weeks, I was doing prison ministry, and it made the newspapers. So my whole, it's like God just put me out there where Barbara Humphrey tells how God entered her life. Newspapers.
Now, what year was that?
That was 1986.
Okay, yeah, that was revolutionary.
Yeah, and so, and then what had happened is we'd had a president, if you will recall, who was a born again Christian, and people had gotten turned off from it, and it was a real negative. My girlfriends, my Delta sisters were saying, why all this, God this and praise the Lord. So that was a pivotal moment for me of being a woman of courage. I stood steadfast, immovable in my faith. And I went through a 7-year trial experience on that campus, which is in my book.
Wow.
God will take you through some things to groom you, because I say it this way. I went to boot camp, sent to officers training school. I was in Desert Storm before there was a Desert Storm, because I spent 7 years in the desert. So we can talk about that at a later time. But those were pivotal moments for me to grow and develop. I did not know there was a greater plan. The greater the struggle, the greater the plan.
So true.
Plan for my life. And I had to go through those experiences, because what are you doing? You're shredding the ego. You've got to empty out of all of this junk, and it has to be replaced with love.
Transformation.
Yes, love, transformation.
And tell everybody name of your book, Dr. Barbara?
The name of my book is Dancing on Broken Legs.
I love that title. I have it.
Diva, divinely inspired, victorious with authority. And broken legs is metaphoric because the Lord, the night my daughter died, is the night that God gave me the title of this book. And broken legs, I kept on dancing. Broken legs, the setbacks, the obstacles, the things that you go through, that sometimes you cry alone, bitter tears, and you say, God, why did this happen to me?
Right, right.
And I know many of you out there may be saying that, God, why did this happen to me? But for everything, there's a reason, and there is a God that loves you. And although I went through many, many struggles, I kept on dancing.
And you don't look like what you've been through.
No, no way. No.
I wrote that several years ago, and less than a year after my 38-year-old son was called to glory and didn't survive cancer, I authored a book called I Am Resilient. I'm like, really, God, I'm gonna write a book now? I'm grieving. So it's just amazing how God will use us to be a vessel. We're just a conduit. And when you get yourself out of the way and you realize that you can become a witness for others, I had no idea how many people were watching me. And your faith is on display when you're going through. You lose your home, you lose your job, you lose your breast.
Yes.
You lose a child, you lose your spouse, you lose a parent.
Yes.
Your faith is going to be on display. And so we must constantly be nurturing and cultivating our faith, our sense of self, our sense of gifting that we have, because we never know when we're going to be, as you said, in a desert storm, going through your wilderness, going through your storm, and you will go through it by yourself.
Not cutting you off, Joy. We just got something. Can we do a topic on the top 10 things a young woman should accomplish in their 20s, 30s?
Ooh.
Yes.
A lot to say on that.
Next week, we will address that. And thank you guys so much for listening. You know what? It's almost time for us to end the show. I'm going to have Jewel with a last minute word that she wants to say to all of you live listeners out there and those who may pick up the show later. Jewel?
Well, I'm going to repeat something, Dr. Barbara, that I posted today on my Facebook page. And basically what I said was that many people they've normalized their pain. And when you're sitting in your own mess, after a while, you don't smell it anymore because it becomes normal. And I want somebody watching today to know that that's not normal, to be sitting with abuse or addiction, depression, that there is help available. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't normalize it and think that you are unworthy. You are God's precious, precious child. And I believe that God wants you to be able to be healed, to have the shackles taken off your feet, to break every chain. I mean, these are songs that speak to that process, and it is a process. And I say, God bless you. I pray that what you heard today is the beginning of you understanding that you don't have to stay in your mess. You don't have to stay in your stress. That there are people like myself and Dr. Barbara that are here to be midwives and to help you birth and to transform into a place and to restore the joy and to restore your faith and to restore your purpose.
Thank you, Jill. So well said. And I want to say to all of you listeners and all of you viewers out there, we want to thank you for tuning in live to Transformational Thursday with Dr. Jewel and Dr. Barbara.
Yeah.
We're excited and we want you to have a great week.
Hi, Trina.
We're going to see
one
you.
Of my Women on the Grow Tribe sisters on with us today, Trina.
Oh, you got Trina. I see. Right. Yes, indeed.
Yes. And Josiah, too.
We love to have your comments. Thank you so much.
Sisters, thank you so much. I love the vibe of my tribe.
Well, we want to thank all of you because this has really been a wonderful, wonderful session today. And remember, Transformational Thursdays will be every morning, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're not leaving out my friends in Dallas and Chicago and New York. So stay tuned. We'll be with you next week. And again, if you have any questions, topics you want, flow it to Jewel,
That's it.
Dr. V. And it's jewelmotivates@gmail.com, info@transformationforsuccess.com, Dr. Barbara. Thank you guys so much. It has been wonderful.
Yay.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Stay in the light.